the party decides to make Ajay Chaudhary the group leader, that also is communicated, Manoj.
Both the resolution which you read,
Yeah.
the communications, one removing Mr. Eknath Shinde, correct, and appointing this Ajay Chaudhary, were in the meeting of the legislative party. Please see.
Yes, yes.
They were not the decisions taken or the resolutions were passed in the party meeting.
No, that doesn't happen, Manoj.
That
never happens.
Correct.
Manoj, what happens?
Just for clarity of
Yes, certainly, sir.
both these resolutions
Yes.
were in the meeting of the legislative party.
I tell your lordship why. Manoj, I tell your lordship why. Manoj, what happens is it's the legislative party that has to accept a leader. There is always a consultation with the party. The party is represented by Uddhav Thackeray.
Just what we want to say. Speaking of myself, it was not in the meeting of the party.
No, it is never. It is never, Manoj. It is never, Manoj. I'm explaining that to you. Explaining that. Ultimately, Manoj, a group leader or a leader in the house has to be chosen. Right? So what the party whip and what the leader of the party does is calls the legislators and says, who would you like to be the leader? They take their view and the party takes the decision. It's not a party meeting. Your lordship is right. It doesn't happen in the AICC or the DPCC. It happens, Manoj, with the leader, namely the chairperson or the prime minister, Manoj, acting in his capacity as the head of the BJP. He will be consulted. But it's why? Because it is the legislative members who have to accept somebody as a leader. So the decision is given by the party that this is the person who is we choose as the leader. Now you cannot. This doesn't happen in the plenary, Manoj. That's the process, Manoj. Okay. And I will demonstrate that, Manoj. That your lordship is absolutely right. Because ultimately, Manoj, that who has to work? Somebody within the legislature has to work with the leader. Here, they are the ones who are concerned. So their views will be taken and the party will decide.
Yes.
So therefore, they say, okay, let Uddhav Thackeray decide, we'll accept what you say. That's how it happens.
According to you, the decision in the legislative party meeting would always be on the advice of the party.
Always.
That's what you're saying.
That's right, always. And it's recognized by this court, Manoj, in several decisions. So it's Manoj, it's the practice, it's the norm everywhere in every political party.
Leader as well as the whip, both you're saying.
Sorry?
Leader as well as the whip.
That's right. Manoj, what happens? I just explained that also. Leadership will decide who the chief whip will be. Leadership will decide who the group leader will be. But the chief whip will decide, not pursuant to, chief whip will decide, carry out the instructions of the leader when matters are in the house. There, Manoj, the leader doesn't come in. Chief whip will say, we'll go to the leader and say, look, this is the issue before the house. How do we deal with it? Leader will discuss it with the chief whip. Chief whip will communicate. That's how parliamentary democracy works. Now comes the document, which is crucial for this case. This communication which I have read was sent to Eknath Shinde by the chief whip. Now Eknath Shinde replies to it.
By Eknath Shinde.
Now kindly see to Sunil Prabhu this document. Now it says, you have misused the authenticate letter of the office of the Shiv Sena Legislative Party. A meeting of 45 MLAs of Shiv Sena Party was held under the chairmanship of Honorable Group Leader Eknath Shinde, and in the said meeting you have been unanimously removed from the post of Chief Speaker of the party. Chief Whip of the party, Shiv Sena MLA Bharat Gogavale has been appointed as the post of Chief Whip of the Legislative Assembly. As per letter of 22nd June, Shiv Sena Legislative Party Office, despite you having no authority to sign, has sent to me notice which is legally invalid. You have no right to send me the said notice. Therefore, it is not binding upon me to remain present. Now, Manoj, this act, the fact that you did not attend the meeting, the fact that you wrote this letter, the fact that you appointed the chief whip, you 45 people or whoever, whether 40 or 45 at the moment, we're not on that you are members of the Legislative Assembly, you have appointed your own chief whip, you say that you are no longer the whip. Manoj, is all, Manoj, there is no, as far as I am concerned, Manoj, this is per se illegal. This doesn't emanate from the party. He cannot, members of the legislature cannot pass such a resolution, cannot defy the whip, cannot remove the whip. So the 40 odd members sitting in Assam convert themselves into the party and decide to remove everybody. So therefore, let's put it in simple terms. In any assembly, 10 people can get together and remove the chief whip. And then they can go to the opposite party and with the numbers game that is going on, they can actually destabilize the government and have their own chief minister. This is the outcome if this is held to be valid. If such an exercise is held to be valid, the outcome is that you can an elected government can be removed any time depending on the arithmetic.
To put it on the flip side, therefore, Mr. Sibbal, your contention would be then, if this outcome has to be lawfully achieved of removing the chief whip or the group leader, then what is the course of action to be followed according to you?
Then? You'll have to go to the party, call a meeting of the party. Call a meeting of the party, or you merge.
Party would mean the national executive, or what would it mean?
You have to call the national executive, the Pratinidhi Sabha, the general body, the Pratinidhi Sabha, not the Karyakarani. That's 13 members. The Pratinidhi Sabha has 262 odd members. Point is, they have never been to the party.
Of course, the only chink in that submission, I mean, we must put it to you straight so that you can deal with it, is that was not the process which was originally followed when the chief whip or the group leader was nominated, unless we also postulate that when the group leader and the chief whip were originally nominated, Uddhav Thackeray was acting as the party.
Yes, because he was neither a member of the council nor was he the chief minister. He was nothing. He is the Paks Pramukh under the constitution.
One thing, as Brother Justice Emma Shah pointed out very clearly, it's obvious that the appointment and the nomination of the group leader and the chief whip was made at a meeting of the MLAs. Now, because it clearly says Amdarancha Baitakit. But
answer that straight away.
But it is also in the presence of Mr. Thackeray. And the MLAs begin by saying that we are assigning to Mr. Uddhav Thackeray the right to take all decisions.
Yeah.
Then they pass a resolution at a meeting of the MLAs. So it's a sort of a hybrid situation where the group leader, power to nominate a group leader and the chief whip is delegated to Shri Uddhav Thackeray. But there is so to speak, an anointment of them at the meeting of the MLAs. So the only way really the two can be reconciled is by postulating that in that sense, at the original meeting, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray was the party. He was, whether you like it or not, he was the party. It was not a meeting of the national executive. It was not a meeting of the plenary of the party. But he was really the whole and soul, because he was not an elected member at that point of time at all.
He was the president of the party.
He was the president.
Paks Pramukh.
He was the Paksha Pramukh.
Yes. Well, it's very interesting your lordship raised this. Let's analyze it. Let's analyze the circumstances against me. Let's assume this all can be done within the legislature. I'll assume that, that the party has no role. So, therefore, 50 people in the house can actually have a leader in the house without reference to the party. If that logic is accepted. 50 members of the house can actually oust the party whip appointed by the party. That's the consequence.
When were the elections held? I think
2018.
the first document at page PDF 14.
23rd January 2018.
17th February 2018.
No, but that's the communication, but the elections are 23rd January
23rd
2018.
January. It speaks about that.
Yes. The point that I'm making to your lordships is, this is unheard of in any democracy, in any legislature.
Elections were held on 23/1/18, you said, right?
23.
Yes. Well, it will be entirely unworkable. Because you will then say that there is no relationship between the members of the legislature and the party. They are independent of the party, they can take whatever decision they like. It will be destructive of, if you ask me, the basic structure of a system of governance which allows the party and the legislatures to be intertwined in matters where the decisions have to be taken on various very significant issues as they come up in the assembly or in parliament.
Well, you can tell me later, but what I want to know, this letter speaks about organizational elections.
Yes.
It talks about organizational
That's correct.
elections. So what are this? It is to the different tiers, is it?
Yes, it's in different tiers.
There's something called a general body, is it?
There is a Rashtriya Karyakarani, which is the national executive, 13 members. Then there is the Pratinidhi Sabha, which is about 262 members.
What is at the bottom?
Sorry?
What is representing the general body?
Pratinidhi Sabha.
Pratinidhi Sabha.
Pratinidhi Sabha. But of course, you can't hold a meeting of all the members of the party all over Maharashtra.
I'm just asking for information.
Yes. So there's a tier system. There's a tier system.
Is at is virtually like a general body.
So there's a tier system by which people are both appointed and elected.
Pratinidhi Sabha.
Yes, Pratinidhi Sabha.
And Mr. Sibbal, possibly this line of argument of yours is also buttressed by 2B of the 10th schedule,
yes.
which says if he votes or abstains from voting in such house, contrary to the direction issued by the political party to which he belongs, or by any person or authority authorized by it in this behalf.
That's correct.
So the whip is really a person who is authorized by the political party.
That's correct. That's correct. That's how it functions. That's how
because the direction has to be given by the political party. It can't keep on giving a direction. It's a larger body.
Yeah, that's right.
So therefore, it delegates its power and it authorizes a person who will then issue a direction on which way to vote in the assembly.
In matter when it came up before the Law Commission, it will be disastrous for democracy, disastrous for the country if the legislature party is allowed to act independent of the political party.
So the actual whip, without, it says, or by any person or authority authorized by it in the behalf.
I read that.
So so the party really nominates or authorizes a person.
That's correct.
And the act of defection lies in voting or abstaining from voting contrary to a direction given by the party or by that person.
I want to ask myself, supposing there's a bill in parliament, the legislative party on its own can't decide what the position will be.
Right.
It cannot. Naturally, there'll have to be consultation with the party because they are not living in they are not acting as a separate entity.
They are really the voice of the party in parliament or the state legislature.
That's correct.
It's the political party.
The genus is the party, they are the species.
Yes.
Yes.
Political party which either sends the MLAs who, because of majority, form the government.
Yes.
Or they could even send members of legislative assembly who will be sitting in the opposition.
That's correct.
So nevertheless, the controlling factor
has to be the party.
Will be the political party.
Yes.
Which will, through its MLAs, operate either as
because they are there because of the party.
Their mandate is the mandate of the party.
That's correct.
And therefore, how they function in the house is determined by the mandate which has brought them into the house.
That's correct. Exactly, Madam.
You have no and I think that seems to be a fair understanding of the 10th schedule also.
10th schedule
has to be linked to it.
Mullahs, you have to maintain the integrity of the political party within the house. Its programs, its views on reservation, its views on the 10th schedule, its views on Mullahs' foreign policy. Individual members of the legislature don't decide on foreign policy issues. Mullahs, the party decides. And party systems are such that you have committees where people who are in the past also, who are members of the party, who have experience in foreign policy, who've been ex-ministers of foreign policy, they become members of the committee, they advise the party as to what position should be taken, and a matter comes up, the legislators are only told that this is what should be done. Within that framework, you can make your case out.
So they articulate the views of the party house.
That's correct.
Yeah. One important distinction is...
To take 15 seconds, a bizarre example of how the party governs.
very interesting, apropos lordship, because I happen to be chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law in 2011, and the most contentious Lokpal bill came. We had a report signed by all except 3 dissents. 3 dissents are all, every 31 member committee, which is a mini parliament, everybody signed, all political parties, 17 political parties. Matter went to Rajya Sabha. All of them supported the report because they had signed it. Overnight, whereas the party stand of one particular party, I'll not name it, changed. The matter came to Lok Sabha. The same party which has signed took a different stand in Lok Sabha because the instructions from the party to the legislative wing of the Lok Sabha was that no, this has to be opposed. Lokpal has to be opposed. This is in the record of Parliament. So when the party decides, this is an extreme example that the party which had agreed with the report actually opposed it in Lok Sabha because the members are only legislators, but they received the instructions. It's an important, well-known regional party, but the policy changed that no, we must oppose Lokpal, therefore it was opposed in Lok Sabha. So that was the best validation of this kind of example.
Any number of examples like that. Any number of examples.
It's a reverse engineering.
It's a political issue on so many other factors.
The legislative members controlling the party is actually reverse engineering.
Yes, your lordship is right. Exactly. Therefore, these documents become exceptionally important because they will determine the outcome of this litigation.